Oh boy.
When I wake up each day, I feel so weary. Try to face the world, but it's so dreary. But I found that special thing that makes me cheery. Time to do music theory. Music theory.
You're watching Adventures in Music Theory with your host, Dr. Robbins. Greetings. Welcome to the Monday, April 20th edition of Online Voice Leading. I have nothing new for us to do today, so I thought if you liked, I would go over the practice tests so that we can talk about what you should expect on your test on Wednesday, April 22nd. I put the practice test on Moodle and the answers, but I still thought that it might be useful if we worked through this anyway, so let's give this a try. So the first portion of the test is going to be like the first portion of the practice test. There will be some chords, probably 3 of them. I will ask you to write them. The important thing is I don't want you to use key signatures. That's a bit of a departure because usually I try to get you to use key signatures all the time. Here I want you to actually be thinking about the key signatures. Like if I say write a chord like it would happen in the key of A major, I want you to think about the fact that there would be F sharp and C sharp and G sharp in the key signature. But rather than putting together the whole key signature, I just want you to write the chord out. And if that chord has an F in it, make sure it's sharp. So here we've got a 2-4-3 chord requested in the key of E major. So, of course, the first thing you need to do is figure out, well, what's the second note in the key of E major? If E is 1, then some kind of F is 2. So that's going to be the root of this chord. It's a 7th chord, so it's going to be some kind of F-A-C-E chord. And the 4-3 means it's going to be second inversion with the 5th in the bass. So in that F-A-C-E chord, the C is going to be the bass note. By the way, if we're in E major, that F will be sharp, and the A will be the 3rd, and the C will be the bass note. Remember, in E major, the C's are sharp. And then, since it's a 7th chord, we need an E somewhere. And that E could have gone an octave lower. In fact, as long as you've got those 4 pitches, you can put them in any octave register you want, as long as the lowest note is the C sharp, because that makes it clear that it's a 4-3 chord. So let's look at the second chord. In the key of B flat major, we're asked for a 6-4-2 chord. And in the key of B flat, the 6th note is G. So it's a G, B, D, F chord. Actually, G, B flat, D, F chord. And 4-2 means it'll be a 3rd inversion, so the 7th will be the bass note, so F will be on the bottom. But in this G, B flat, D, F chord, we need a B flat somewhere. You can put it anywhere you want. I'm putting it down below the G, but if you put it up above the G, that's fine. We need a D also somewhere. I'm writing it on the staff. If you want to write it above the staff, that's fine. And we need an F. And the important thing is that the F in your chord needs to be the lowest note. So that's what this chord's going to look like. And then next we have, in the key of F sharp minor, a 7 diminished 6-5 chord. So the 7th note in the key of F is the E. So we're talking about the 7th chord that's built on E. So it's going to be E, G, B, D of some sort. And 6-5 means it'll be in 1st inversion with the 3rd in the bass. So first we need to put... Okay, so we know that the E is the root of the chord, and it's an E, G, B chord of some sort, and the G needs to be the bottom note, and then the B and the D need to be above it. You can space this chord out any way you want, as long as it's a G on the bottom with an E and a B and a D above it. And then we need to make it a fully diminished 7th chord. And if you wrote E, G, B flat, D flat, I'm very sorry, but that's not the right thing. And one way to realize that's not the right thing is to think about So how many of those notes fit in the key of F sharp minor? Well, certainly not the G natural, certainly not the B flat, certainly not the D flat. So what you need to do is use notes from F sharp minor. And the 7 diminished chords built not on E, the subtonic, but on E sharp, the leading tone. So make that E sharp, and then spell a fully diminished 7th chord that goes E sharp, G sharp, B, D. And the nice thing is if you look at that chord, then you're going to see, ooh, all these chords belong to the key of F sharp minor. All these notes belong to the key of F sharp minor. They'd be part of an F sharp harmonic minor scale. So use that as a way to see if you're doing this right. And now we get to try some part writing. So for these, what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you to write the chord using the key signature and resolve it to an appropriate chord. And we'll talk about exactly what that means in a moment. But let's just start the first one here. Let's set it up. We need to write a 2 half diminished 4/3 chord in the key of B minor. So we need to figure out what's the key signature for B minor. I really hope you've got that down cold by now. It's the same as D major. It's 2 sharps. So write them in the treble clef and the bass clef. And then to figure out the 2 diminished 4/3 chords, you need to figure out, so what's the second note in the key of B minor? It's C sharp. So we're writing a C sharp E G B chord. C sharp is the root of that chord, but it's not the bass note. This is a second inversion chord, so it's going to be C sharp E G B with G in the bass. So you need to put the E somewhere. You need to make sure that the G, which is the 5th of the chord, is the lowest note. And then we need to put the B somewhere, and it looks like that B is going to go in the tenor voice here. And that B is an important note because it's the 7th of our C sharp E G B chord. So you want to make sure it resolves down a step to some sort of A. So when you resolve it to an appropriate chord, the appropriate chord is going to need to have an A in it. And a good appropriate chord to come after a 2 chord is a 5 chord, because 2 chords are predominant chords. So let's go with a 5 chord, an F sharp chord. So we'll put the F sharp in the bass, and then let's look and see if there are any common tones, and there is. Going to the F sharp A C sharp chord, the common tone would be that C sharp in the soprano, so let's keep it where it is. And we need to find something to do in the alto that doesn't cause part writing problems. It seems like it would make good sense to let the alto move up by step to F. And also, it says this 5 chord is supposed to be major. So let's put a sharp on that A to make it a major 5 chord. And to make sure you've done this right, look at all the notes in your chords and ask yourself, do all these notes belong in the key of B minor? And they do. Yeah, even the A sharp, that's the leading tone. So good job. You've done it correctly. And we can do another. Okay, and now let's try the second one, which is in A flat major, and which asks us to write a 4/6/5 chord, so another 7th chord. This one's going to be in first inversion, and to resolve it to an appropriate chord. So first off, let's get our A flat major scale. Uses flats in the key signature, so that means the second to last flat's going to be our tonic. So B, E, A, and then D. So 4 flats in the treble and bass clef like that. And in an A flat scale, what's the 4th note? It's the D flat. So the chord's going to be D flat F, A flat C. D flat's the root. Put it in one of the voices, soprano, alto, or tenor, not bass, because since this is a 6/5 chord, that means the 3rd is going to be in the bass. So your lowest note is going to be the F. Okay, and then you need to put the A flat somewhere. I'm putting it in the tenor, but you could put it in another voice as long as it was not below the F. And now we have to put the C in the soprano voice up there. Okay, so there's our D flat F, A flat C chord. And when we resolve it, we need to make sure that we resolve it to a chord where the 7th of the chord, which is the C, can go down a step. So that C needs to go to B flat. So what type of chord is good coming after a 4 chord? Well, 4 chords are also predominant chords. So a 5 chord would not be a bad chord to go to an E flat G B flat chord. If you're thinking about circle of fifths, and you might be thinking, 1, 4, 7, 3. So you might be thinking about going to the 7 chord. And that could be, okay, the 7 diminished chord. The thing to remember is this, though. If you're going to write a diminished triad, write it in first inversion. That's how they show up in this type of music. First inversion only, and never, ever, ever second inversion. So, but I want to go to a 5 chord. A 5 chord is a good place for a 4 chord to go as well. We'll see that a lot. And either way, whether you get the 7 diminished or the 5 chord, that C is going to be able to step down to B flat because it's the 7th of our 4 chord. So we're going to a 5 chord. Here's the thing. This 5 chord can't be in root position because if it's in root position, the bass is going to go from F to E flat. And if you're sitting there thinking, why is that bad? It's bad because the soprano has to go from C to B flat to resolve that 7th. And that's going to give me parallel perfect fifths, which we don't want. So let's put our 5 chord in inversion. Let's put our 5 chord in first inversion. So we'll make it a 5-6. So it'll be E flat, G, B flat, but the G will be the bass note. Okay, so then I need an E flat in this chord somewhere, don't I? Look at what we've got to work with and decide which voice is the best one to go to the E flat. Is it better to go there from the D flat in the alto or the A flat in the tenor? It's going to have to be the alto, right? That's moving by step, and the tenor can't go to the E flat without overlapping the alto, so that works. So what is the tenor going to do? The tenor is going to go up by step to B flat. Don't take the tenor down by step to the G because that would be doubling the leading tone, and we don't want to do that. So that's how we handle this resolution. And now we can try the third one. And the third one says we're in D major, and it's a 2-7 chord, root position 7th chord. So D major, that's 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. And a 2 chord in D major starts on E. This is an E, G, B, D chord with E in the bass. So the root's on the bottom, so I'm going to write the E in the bass, and then I need to put G and B and D above it. You can set it up any way you want. I'm setting mine up this way so I don't have to write ledger lines because those are hard to do in PowerPoint. Okay, so it's E, G, B, D. Most important thing when you go to resolve this 2 chord is that D, which is the 7th of the chord, steps down to a C sharp. And as far as where do 2 chords go, 2 chords are predominants. They sound good going to 5 chords. Doesn't have to be a 5 chord. As long as your next chord had a C sharp in it, you'd be okay. But the 5 chord is the most legit chord functionally speaking. I didn't mean for all 3 of these to wind up resolving to 5 chords, but so they did. Alright, so we're in D major. The 2-7 chord is going to a 5 chord. That 5 chord's in root position, so that means our bass voice is going to go down to the A. If you want it to jump up to the A, that's fine also. So the 5 chord has A and C sharp and E. I need an E somewhere. I need to double something in the triad, and I can't double the C sharp because that's the leading tone. Do not put the E in the tenor voice. That'll give you parallel fifths. So the place to put the E, if you're going to have a fifth in your chord, is in the alto voice. And with the tenor voice, let it step down to an A. And that'll give you nice, smooth voice leading, and that'll sound pretty if you play it, and that'll keep you in good stead theory-wise. Okay, and this gives us a chance to try some part writing. The thing that's probably not going to be on the test is big bold letters saying resolve all your 7ths correctly. So make sure you remember to do that. And I see a lot of 7th chords just looking at those figured bass symbols. I see a 4-2 chord and a 4-3 chord and a 6-5 chord. So that's 3 chords where I'm going to have to resolve 7ths. We've got Roman numerals and figured bass. So the first thing you might want to do is write out your bass line. And in a 3-4-3 chord, it's B, D, F sharp, A. So the F sharp is the 5th that goes in the bass. In a 4-6-5 chord, that's C, E, G, B. So 6-5 means the 3rd, or the E, is in the bass. 1-6-4 is a 2nd inversion triad, so G, B, D, and the D will be my bass note. Root position 4 is C, E, G with C in the bass, and a 1 chord is G, B, D with G in the bass. So there's your bass line. So that gets us set up well. And the thing we want to make sure happens with all these things is we want the sevenths of the chords to resolve well. And you can see that I already took care of the first one for you. That's a 2-4-2 chord, and the sevenths was in the bass, so it went down by step. All right, so the 3-4-3 chord has B and D and F sharp and A. So looking at how to get to it from that first chord, I'd recommend looking and seeing are there any common tones between the A, C, E, G chord and the B, D, F sharp, A chord. And there is one. There's that A in the alto, so I would keep that. And then you need to have a D in the chord, and you need to have a B in the chord. Now, if you look at the tenor voice, that C could go either up by step to D or down by step to B. But if I look at the alto or the soprano voice, I realize the best thing to do with the soprano, if I want to move stepwise, is to take it down by step to the D, which means then that with the tenor voice, to make sure the chord has a root, I'm going to take it down by step to the B. And that's fine. All the parallel motion in that chord progression there is good. So far so good. Now this 3-4-3 chord, it's B, D, F sharp, A, and think about what the A is in that chord. It's the seventh, so you want to move down by step. So when we go to the next chord, which is C, E, G, B, that A in the alto needs to go down by step to a G. Okay. So it's a C, E, G, B chord. Next thing I would think about is, are there common tones between the chord we just left and the chord we're going to? And there is one. It's in the tenor. It's that B. So let's keep it where it is. So we've got an E and a G and a B. That's a third and a fifth and a seventh. We need a root. That's C. We're going to put that in the soprano. Okay. And here it's going to get fun because we're going to a 1-6-4 chord. So we're in the C, E, G, B chord. That B should resolve down by step in the next chord, but it can't. It can't because there is no A in a 1-6-4 chord in the key of G. The chord has G and B and D. So if that B can't go down by step, what's the other thing sevenths of chords do? They hold over. And if it holds over, it'll be part of our G, B, D chord. So that's good. What are we going to do in the alto in this G, B, D chord? We're going to keep the alto on G. Hold the common tone. And with the soprano, you want to make sure that you take the soprano up by step to D. Why are we doing that? We're doing that because this is a 6-4 chord. And remember that with 6-4 chords, you want to double the bass. You always want to double the fifth of the chord, which is in the bass. So this chord needs to have that D in the bass doubled. So there we go. If you look at the bass line, you realize this 6-4 chord's a passing 6-4 chord because there's that D in the 6-4 chord and we got to it from an E and then we got away from it by going down to C. So one thing that's nice in passing 6-4 is to have some other voice that's going in the opposite direction. So while the bass is going E, D, C, somebody should go C, D, E. And that somebody is the soprano. And there's usually a common tone you can hold all the way through. That would be the G. And then we just need to find something for the tenor to do in our next chord. And that something would probably be move up by step to the C. Okay, that's our 4 chord. And then we're going to a 1 chord, a G, B, D chord. So let's hold the common tone G in the alto. We'll move the soprano down by step to D. And in the tenor is going to get to the B of the G, B, D chord, but not right away because notice it says 4-3 after the 1 chord. That means there's a suspension. So we're going to suspend that tenor C, which is a fourth above the G in the bass, and then we're going to move it down by step to B. And that's our 4-3 suspension. Now let me kind of quickly talk us through this harmonic analysis. In the key of A flat major, the things that make it better in A flat major than F minor, one of course would be that it starts on what would be a 1 chord in A flat major and ends on a 1 chord in A flat major. The other is I don't see any F minor leading tones, any E naturals, or any occasional D naturals if we went in the melodic minor. This is in A flat major. And the other thing that would really bear it out is when you analyze cadences, and there are 2 of them, you'll realize that the only way you could make these sensible cadences in A flat major is to be in A flat major, because that would make That would make sense for ending on the F minor chord in measure 3. It's a 5 to a 6 deceptive cadence. And it would make sense for ending on an A flat major chord after a 4 chord at the end here. It's a plagal cadence. So it's in A flat major. And I've put the Roman numerals and the figured bass underneath. And of course the other thing I was sure to put in was I made sure that since there was a 6/4 chord, I said which type it was. You've got to make sure you do that. This is a cadential 6/4 chord. It comes before the 5 chord in a cadence. It's a second inversion 1 chord before a 5 chord in a cadence. And it's on a stronger beat than the 5 chord, right? The 5 chord's on beat 2, but the cadential 6/4 is on beat 1. And the other thing about cadential 6/4 chords, let's see, what is it? They're on a stronger beat than the 5 chord. They come before the 5 chord in a cadence. The bass note doesn't change from the 1 chord to the 5 chord, and that looks like what's happening. It's E flat in the 1/6/4 chord. It's still E flat in the 5/7 chord. And the upper voices tend to resolve down by step. And if you look at the notes in the bass clef on the off beats, I can see there's an A flat and C on the and of beat 1, and both those notes have gone down by step on the and of beat 2 to a G and a B flat. So this is a cadential 6/4 progression. Okay, the other thing, there's a 7/6/5 chord at the end of the line. It's a half diminished 6/5 chord. And the thing that gives clarification to what these chords are is also what the non-chord tones are. Most of them, I believe, are fairly self-explanatory. The one place where you might find yourself getting a little stymied is, let's look at the end of the first line at the very last chord. Some people might see that chord as only being a 2 chord, a B flat, D flat, F chord. That won't quite work here. The reason why it won't work is because of what's going on in the treble clef and the melody. If you're saying it's just a B flat, D flat, F chord, you're going to have to figure out what to do with that G at the beginning of those 16th notes. It can't be a non-chord tone because we're approaching it by leap and we're leaving it by leap. And there aren't any non-chord tones that get approached and left by leap. There's some that get approached by leap and left by step, and some that get approached by step and left by leap. But there aren't any that go leap, leap. So that G has to be part of your chord. And that's why you want to call it not B flat, D flat, F, but G, B flat, D flat, F. 2 half diminished 6/5. Okay. Other than that, I think that most of the analysis should come fairly easy. But I ask you all, I didn't ask for pop chords on this one, I just asked for Roman numerals and figure bass and non-chord tones. And the other thing I ask, since this is a chapter on sevenths, is for you to identify the 7th in each chord that had a 7th and show me where it resolved. So that's what these little arrows are showing. In the 2/6/5 chord, that's a B flat, D flat, F, A flat chord. That A flat resolves to the G in the 5 chord. In the 7 half diminished 6/5 chord, that's G, B flat, D flat, F. That F resolves to the E flat in the 1 chord at the beginning of the 2nd line. So you want to make sure that you're showing resolutions of your 7ths. In the 5/7 chord up at the deceptive cadence, it's E flat, G, B flat, D flat, and that D flat resolves very clearly in the melody down by step to the C in the F minor chord. So that's how you do this. Okay, so I think you're good to go for your test on Wednesday. A few things I want you to be mindful of as you're taking the test. This is not an open book or an open note test. It doesn't really matter anyway, since it's a problem-based test where you're going to have to do part writing and chord writing, and there wouldn't be the answers explicitly in your note or your books anyways. But I want you to be doing this without books or notes. What I want you to think about, though, what I want you to have in your mind as you do this, 2 things in particular that I'm seeing on the homework that you need to be careful of. One is about 7th chords. And the most important thing for 7th chords is resolve the 7th of the chord correctly. Make sure it goes down by step. That needs to happen. So if you write a 5/7 chord, then make sure that the 7th of that 5/7 chord is moving down by step to the note a step below it in the next chord. The other thing is the next chord. Since I'm going to be asking you to choose the next chord, don't make every single chord a seventh chord. Just because I've taught you about seventh chords doesn't mean I want you to forget about triads. So, don't make every single chord a seventh chord. If you write a seventh chord and then I say choose an appropriate chord to resolve it to, it could resolve to a seventh chord and that might be fine, but for the sake of me knowing you don't think everything has to be a seventh chord, resolve it to a triad. And the other thing that I see issues with in the part writing and in the chord selection is 6/4 chords. Remember, 6/4 chords can only be primary triads. So if you're choosing an appropriate chord to resolve your seventh chord to, don't resolve it to anything that's not a 1/6/4 or a 4/6/4 or a 5/6/4. I saw a lot of people writing 7/6/4s and 2/6/4s on the homework, and that's not what we do. If it's a 6/4 chord, it's got to be Roman numeral 1, 4, or 5. If you decide to resolve a seventh chord to a 1 or a 4 or a 5 chord in second inversion, make sure you get the doubling right. Remember, in 6/4 chords, you have to double the bass note, the fifth of the chord. That's sort of the part writing side of 6/4 chords. The analysis side is this. If you see them when you're analyzing, make sure you know what type of 6/4 chord it is. Identify it as cadential or passing or pedal. And of course, if you're part writing those types of chords, you want to also do the right things. Remember, with a pedal 6/4 chord, you want to keep the bass note the same before and after the 6/4 chord. Move your upper voices up a step and then back down by step. If it's a passing 6/4 chord, then while the bass is going either up or down by step, have some other voice doing what the bass is doing in reverse. So while the bass goes A, B, C, some other voice should go C, B, A above it. So make sure that you're familiar when you come into this test with how 6/4 chords work from the last unit we did, and with how seventh chords work from the unit that we've just done. And if you have questions before test time, you can email me or get in touch with me and I will be glad to answer them for you. The test will be available Wednesday and you have until midnight to get it turned into me. So have fun with that. Enjoy the test. I will get them graded and back to you. And on Friday, we will start the last topic we're going to cover this year. And it's a challenging one. So make sure that you've got your brain rested and you're ready to go on that one. So good luck on the test, and I will see you on the next video. Take care.